Ready. Okay, folks, I got 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And if you'll stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic And could we have a quick rundown of the folks on Zoom?
Yeah, we have a Liz, a Carolyn Bowers, and an Eagle's Nest.
Okay, thank you. First item is item number 2, additions, deletions, or corrections to our agenda. Trustees, if we have none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
A second. Been moved and seconded. We approve the agenda for tonight. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, moving on to item number 3. Do we have anyone who wished to address the board? Yeah. And be sure you hit the blue light.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my name is David Douglas. I live at 11145 Hondo Avenue. I just sat through your work session meeting, and I know that there's a lot of discussion about the road situation. But living on Hondo, I can tell you that from Daniel Messiah's house all the way up to the turnaround, we have deep crevasses in the road. At times, you have to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get up to our house. I don't know what I would do if I had a 2-wheel drive vehicle. I guess I wouldn't get there. It's to me unbelievable that we are not aware that there's been any road grading equipment up on Hondo except one time since May, and it's September now. So I don't know. I heard you say, Mayor Dixon, that there is a road plan that's being developed, but I've heard all the reasons. We didn't have material. Our equipment breaks down. But what I think we need, and I hope this is what your road plan encompasses, is a definitive program on maintaining our roads. Having materials available, having a maintenance schedule for our equipment to make sure it's working, having trained personnel, a regular schedule for maintaining our roads. But this is horrible. So I pay my taxes. I think we should have roads that should be a priority for our town management and our Board of Trustees. The other thing, living on Hondo, I will tell you that we're seeing a lot of what I am certain of are hikers that are parking at the turnaround in various cuts in Hondo. I won't say that the marshal never comes up Hondo, but I have not seen him personally. But it would be nice to have the marshal drive up Hondo periodically, and I don't know who to call. There is I don't know how to get in touch with anybody. I can call town hall, I can leave a message, but you know, I would like to see some enforcement of parking along Hondo. And I have nothing against hikers, nothing at all. I'm backed in favor of hiking, but I do have a problem with parking because it does affect the potential for emergency management vehicles to come up and down the street. So that's all I have to comment on tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to call El Paso County Dispatch. Yeah. So yeah, first call would, unless it's an emergency, is the El Paso County Dispatch.
Yeah, I think in terms for the parking being a concern, you know, for emergency vehicles, I think we need to get on the signs kind of ASAP there and identifying exactly where, you know, non-residents are parking on the sides of the roads. The signs, I mean, we got a good machine now, so.
We have others. Did we have anyone on Zoom?
On Zoom, wish to make public comment?
Okay, if there's no other public comment, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 4, consent agenda or minutes from August 30th. And if there's no board discussion on that item, well, it sounds like there might be a board discussion on it.
Nate, I want to thank you for the draft of the minutes. I do have one typo on the last page. Subparagraph I, deputy marshal, deputy is misspelled. If you could correct that, please. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda minutes from August 30th, 2022. Modified.
As modified.
I have to say as.
Probably.
Oh,
yeah.
as modified.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the August 30th, 2022 Board of Trustees meeting as modified. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, our next item, item number 5, is an oath of office. Marshall Goings, if you come up initially.
Is it working?
Is the blue light on?
It is on.
Okay,
All right. So when I last came to you, I told you that I have Will Stark, stand up for me, Will, who was kind of in the barrel and he had a few hoops to jump through. He successfully jumped through all the hoops. So I would like to introduce your new deputy marshal for Green Mountain Falls, Will Starks. Mayor, if you would, please.
and with that, we'll administer the oath and then we'll do the pinning. I, William Starks.
I, William Starks,
Do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the ordinances of the town of Green Mountain Falls,
and the ordinances of the town of Green Mountain Falls,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Deputy Marshal
of the office of Deputy Marshal
of the town of Green Mountain Falls,
of the town of Green Mountain Falls,
upon which I am about to enter to the best of my ability.
upon which I am about to enter by the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard. Next up is the-
Will's girlfriend Caitlin is going to come up and pin his badge on him.
The trust exercise.
Yeah, sir. You're still on the stage.
I bet.
All right. The next part of this is me setting a little bit of an expectation for Will. He's not going to just hit the road. He is, and I say this with all kindness, he's a baby cop. He has not worked for another police department. He is fresh out of the academy and he needs a lot of training. He's going to be a part-time employee, so I'm anticipating it's going to take 4 to 6 months or so of he and I working together just to get him up to speed to where he can function on his own as a police officer. So please know that we are a 1-person department, now a 1.5-person department. I drive up Hondo as much as I can. I apologize. If you do have complaints about Hondo, you can call the marshal's office. It's on the website, or 390-5555 is the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. But help is coming. Hopefully we will have 2 of us out on the road to take care of parking and all of those other things that need to happen. So to set your expectations, it's going to be a minute before he's out on the road by himself. Okay. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you and welcome aboard. Yeah. Party time. Okay, moving on to item number 6. Creek Week Proclamation, and I'd like to invite up Miss Allie Shook. I get it right?
You got it right.
Okay. is
Good
the blue light
evening.
on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay.
Good evening, Green Mountain Falls. My name is Allie Shook. I'm the interim executive director of the Fountain Creek Watershed District, and we are your local provider of watershed health. We do millions of dollars of creek restoration projects and community engagement, which is really our forte. You know, our watershed belongs to all of us. These creeks provide immeasurable value in terms of natural beauty, a place to restore your sanity of your workday, economic value. People come here and they enjoy our beautiful creeks and trails and waterways. And I'm here today to talk about Creek Week. The Creek Week cleanup was started 9 years ago as a way to engage our public in understanding the value of these waterways. What better way to understand them is to get out in them and make them better. And so we have engaged thousands of volunteers over the past 9 years to remove over 150 tons of litter from our home watershed. That not only benefits us, but also our downstream neighbors all the way out to the ocean. So this year we're doing the 9th annual Creek Week, and I'm here to present the proclamation. If I may go ahead and read this, and I'll just go right ahead. So the proclamation recognizing Creek Week 2022. Whereas the town of Green Mountain Falls is fortunate to have extensive and diverse natural resources, including forests, grasslands, riparian areas, lakes, creeks, and a wide variety of open spaces. Whereas Fountain Creek Watershed is a unique and important resource and an asset to the residents and visitors of Green Mountain Falls and the Pikes Peak region. Whereas the Fountain Creek Watershed District partners with all its jurisdictional partners from Palmer Lake to Pueblo and beyond, and here you're at the headwaters along Fountain Creek here, to coordinate the 9th annual Creek Week cleanup, which encourages the protection, restoration, and maintenance of our home watershed. Whereas this 9-day litter event runs from September 24th through October 2nd, 2022 throughout the watershed and is now grown to be the largest cleanup effort in the state. We're very proud of that. Whereas the Creek Week programs and activities are designed to raise awareness about the littering issue within our watershed, to encourage organizations and individuals to collect litter and debris to make our watershed cleaner and safer. And whereas businesses, churches, schools, nonprofits, or neighborhood organizations, youth groups, and individuals are encouraged to form a creek crew to clean up. And whereas Creek Week litter removal activities will reduce pollution in our creeks, clogs in our waterways that can lead to flooding, provide for a safer drinking water supply, and enhance the wildlife habitat and property values. So now, therefore, I'm putting this before the trustees of Green Mountain Falls, proclaiming September 24th through October 2nd as Creek Week in Green Mountain Falls, and encourages all citizens to help out during Creek Week. So 9 days, no excuses. And your event here in Green Mountain Falls will take place this Sunday, the 25th, 9 a.m. A gentleman named Jay Kitta is organizing the cleanup. There's also, I understand, a brush or a wood chipper. So you're going to be removing some of the extra debris. And then there'll be a volunteer lunch at 12:30 at the farm stand, sponsored by a private individual. So really excited to have you guys being part of Creek Week this year.
Okay, thank you very much. And I understand we need to do action on this. Do we need to vote? It says action on the agenda.
So proclaim it.
So proclaim it. All in favor, say aye.
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 No opposed.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you. Okay, next up is a presentation for Habitat for Humanity. This is Chris Lewis, Executive Director and CEO of Pikes Peak Habitat for Humanity.
Okay, blue light is on.
So I am Chris Lewis, the Executive Director and CEO of Pikes Peak Habitat for Humanity. We have been serving El Paso County since 1986. Over 200 families served in the county, over 200 served internationally. So about 450 families total. Sorry, I don't have a clicker, so I'm going to have to point at them. Sorry, Nate. So most of you know us because we're a home builder, and that is accurate, but we also do repairs and rehabilitations. We advocate for affordable housing. And so we are your affordable housing experts here in the county. There are 3 criteria to become a homeowner with us, or at least an applicant for the process. It's similar with the repairs. You must be able to prove that you are between 30 and 80% of the area median income. So we serve workforce housing as well as very low income. When you're looking at that higher end, family of 4 is making about $73,000. $73,000 will not buy you a home here in El Paso County. So most of our families, they're cost burdened. They're paying more than 35% of their income towards housing. They're in an overcrowded, unsafe situation. So that's the first thing. There has to be a need. The second thing is they need to be able to pay an affordable mortgage. We do not give the homes away. We underwrite mortgages for each of these qualifying families. They don't have to have stellar credit scores. That's not what we're looking at, but it's an ability to pay. The mortgage is capped at 30% of their income at the time they qualify for the program. That 30% includes HOA, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and then principal on their home. So ability to pay. Then the third part that they must participate in on the home ownership is 200 hours of sweat equity, which is volunteering on building their own homes, their neighbors' homes, includes also attending 10 classes. Those classes include knowing their mortgage docs inside and out, becoming a good neighbor with an HOA for those who have an HOA, learning how to deal with conflict resolution and estate planning. How do they pass that asset along? So all 3 of those pieces have to happen if they're going to become a homeowner. We have 2 specific focused groups that we build for veterans who have been discharged honorably. That's usually funded through entities that are veteran owned or veteran focused. Variety of reasons for that, but we are in El Paso County and we want to honor our veterans. And we also have senior specific. Most of the senior programs that we have are focused on repairs. So, quick, thank you. I'm used to looking from the back of the room. My apologies. So the repair program is the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about because we cannot afford to buy land here. Can't develop it, not looking at building houses on boulders, much less trying to figure out what to do with sanitation. So we're looking at expanding our repair program. We piloted that starting in 2017 and have expanded it. So we should be able to do between 20 and 25 repairs. And these are critical home repairs. These are repairs that are going to cost at least $5,000. Most of them are averaging over $10,000. That includes replacing roofs, siding, some windows, depending on what's happening there, a lot of accessibility issues, putting in ramps, railings, new doors, particularly security. And a lot of that right now is focused on seniors. We do have a joint program through Silver Key, which is based in Colorado Springs. Like us, it's a national program, but has local office. We have funding through the Myron Stratton Foundation to really take off our aging in place. With Silver Key, the reason why we can call it aging in place is they have caseworkers who will work with the seniors and observing their cognitive and their physical abilities. So we'll work on getting the home fixed inside and out. They will make sure that they're safe. So that's the big piece on that. If you can do that again. This is the outside of a recent repair that we did. The homeowner is 88 years old. She is unable to make the repairs on her home financially and physically. We don't want somebody of that age out there up on the roof. You'll see that there's a lot of water damage. This water damage was creating, not only her roof was rotted, the siding was rotted, but there was mold throughout that main closet, and it was spreading into her bedroom area. She had a lot of asthma and other respiratory issues because of that. So we came in and we repaired, and now you'll see that there is a new roof, there's new siding, we have weatherized windows, we've placed gutters, and we did mold mitigation. So this one was actually about $15,000 because of all of that. It is only the material costs that we're looking at. Everything is done by volunteers. So that's the basic piece of that. Why do we do what we do? We believe that everyone deserves a decent place to live, affordability, sustainability, home, especially a safe place where kids are not having to move from school to school while their parents are chasing affordable rent. It leads to stabilizing economically, mental health, physical health. Parents can be more proactive on their own ability to be healthy. They can attend their kids' school programs. And seniors, yes, we do have homeowners who became first-time homeowners in their 60s and 70s. We're not focused on just young families with kids. That's a misperception. If you meet our guidelines, you want to be a homeowner and you're going to work with us, then you can qualify most likely to become a homeowner. Under the repair program, same thing. We want you to come in and do sweat equity. It's 30 to 80% of the income. Usually we are finding the bulk of our repairs are for those earning less than 30% of the area median income. These are seniors who their social security check or their pension is not even allowing them to buy food. They're choosing between food, medications, and heat and or cooling. So those are the bulk of the repairs that we're doing right now. We do it because we believe everybody deserves in the entire world a decent place to live. So we are here, your affordable housing provider, whether through repairs, home ownership, advocating. Come talk to us. Shop at the Restore. If you've got stuff that you want to get rid of out of your garages, building materials, we don't take road base. We actually create road base out of the toilets that we get. City of Colorado Springs takes all of our porcelain. But that's another way that we lead to affordable housing. So really fast talking through. I'm open for questions. Go ahead and hit it again. I think oh, I forgot to tell you what we're doing right now. So again, the bulk of our work has been affordable home ownership. So we've built just now over 200 homes. Pre-pandemic, our houses were costing about $150,000. During the pandemic, $240,000. They are now costing us $300,000 to $330,000 on the 2 homes we just closed on. So we're having to slow down. We're only building 5 homes a year right now, primarily because of the cost, but also because of the lack of affordable land. We just don't have it. So that's us in a nutshell. We're building right now on Sand Creek, and I'll show you what a couple of our houses look like. This one's Micah's View in Fountain. You'll see that we put in a ramp. The woman and her son, the son is an adult, he has disabilities. He's getting to a point where he will no longer be able to be mobile outside of a wheelchair. So we put in this ramp and a roll-in bathtub. The reason why this roll-in shower, we're able to do this because so many contractors in the area donate materials. So the steel for this, which was almost $5,000, was donated. The roll-in shower is a couple of grand. It was donated. And we got the concrete at a discount. Wasn't donated, but just the ramp alone was almost $20,000 because of the increase in supplies. So that's Micah's View in Fountain, where we have built 37 homes there. And then the most recent that we're working on is the Ridgid Sand Creek. That's a mixed income neighborhood. It's our second mixed income neighborhood. It's 30 homes out of a total of 90. It's predominantly middle working class families. Our homes are, they're coming up, they're appraising for between 330 to almost 400,000. These are homes that are 800 to 1,500 square feet. The other homes around us are, and we base our sales price on the cost to build. The other homes around us were built for about the same, except for labor. And they're coming in about 400, 425,000, but they're a little bit more on square footage, including we build only single car garages, they have 2. But the Ridgid Sand Creek, 30 homes, we've got 5 of them closed on, 5 more in process, 5 more families being approved by the board in October. So that's us in a fast nutshell. Way too many applicants for the number of people that we can serve, but we're trying and we're looking to expand here. So if you have folks that you think need their homes repaired, we don't do foundations, I will warn you on that. But if they have roofs, siding, interior work, they need accessibility. We're finding so many of our seniors don't have safe doors. They're afraid to even come out. They can't get on their porch. Their porches are falling in. We have gone in and replaced. So that's the main reason I'm here, repairs. Yes, sir.
does repair include HVAC?
It can. So we partner with Energy Resource Center, which is another nonprofit. And they serve all of El Paso County and more, but they will replace HVAC, water heaters, and add insulation. So we also partner with Brothers Redevelopment. So depending on what those two entities can't do, because they're at the max of their budget, we will partner with them, and then we'll come in and do whatever we can do in addition to it. So I would say the most that we've put in partnering together is a little over 50,000 in repairs. So yes, we can get it done.
Do these have to be, excuse me, owner occupied?
They do. So we are an owner occupied entity. That's our focus is affordable home ownership. We want people to be able to stay in their homes as long as possible safely. The other thing that we're seeing is so many homes are leaving the affordable housing market because their equity has gone through the roof, right? They want to sell, they want to get all that money, and they're finding there's no place to move to. And our seniors are not able to downsize safely into smaller homes either. So that's another issue. So we want to keep everybody safe. Okay, that was fast. Two of our latest homes that are now, those were 280,000. Two just like it are now 330. 5 months later. So that's me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you use fire resistant materials when you're making repairs on the siding and stuff?
We do, and if they're townhomes or they're duplexes, if that the dividing wall needs to be looked at, that's required by code to be, yeah, we do what we can. We will also insulate, we'll put in that foam. A lot of the older homes don't, there's I can't remember what it's called. It's a fireproofing foam that will seal a lot of the crevices to prevent fire, number one, from it getting oxygen, but also to help slow down any fire coming through. We follow code. We're actually we have always been beyond code requirements. We started building with 2x6 walls way before it was required. Insulation has always been higher. We want families to not pay, most of our families don't pay more than $30 to $50 per month in the winter months on all their utilities. So that's another piece of keeping it affordable. Okay, I'm always looking for volunteers on committees. You don't have to come out and be on a roof. Okay, all right.
If you have something you'd like for us to post on our website, we could do that, whether it's this presentation or any other info, for application purposes or.
Absolutely.
whatever.
I'll send you the link for that. There's also out on the table, just out the doors and to the left, there's a number of habitat packets that has a bunch of information on it. There's also at least 5 applications for the Silver Key repair program, and then a flyer I added on our repair program. So they're out there, but yeah, go to pikespeakhabitat.org for those who are on Zoom. And, but I'll get you the link so that people will know where to go.
Thanks.
Yay. I love what I do.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, our next item is item number 8, application for an easement 11110 and 11120 Belvedere Avenue.
Yeah, so this is involving a actual deck. It was initiated by the request to replace 2 decks, one on each property. These properties are owned by the same owners. It was determined or discovered during the site plan process. They had some surveyors come in, and it was discovered that not on the decks on both properties were actually encroaching into the right of way. So the applicants applied for variances, and also easements so that they could continue the use of these decks and replace them properly according to our zone code, our land use code, I should say. Basically, we've had 2 phases of easement approval at the planning commission level. There was a first phase of just a conceptual approval so that before the applicants did more work with the surveyors to get the legal descriptions spelled out in detail. So both of those, so it came to the planning commission twice, was approved both times unanimously, as well as a variance that was before the board and approved last meeting as well. So as we discussed earlier, actually some of the language in the easement agreements needs to be verified just for proper ownership designation. I'll check with the applicants and get some documentation that lists all the owners of the trust so that that can be listed properly in the documentation. The one caveat from Planning Commission was that the easements were approved basically pending insurance verification to the easement agreement that we received from our attorneys to use includes a section about insurance. And we believe we have a solution, which is essentially creating an add-on to the homeowner's insurance that specifies that the all of the structure within the easement will be covered liability wise. So I believe I have that from the applicant. I need to circle back with them on a couple of things. But otherwise, Planning Commission and staff would recommend approval.
The approval contingent upon resolution of the insurance.
Yeah, I would say
The agreement.
insurance and the
Vesting deed?
the vesting deed of and listing that ownership correctly on the agreement itself.
Okay.
And Nate, if he's not able to get you copies of the deeds, I can order them for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Trustees, discussion, questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the applications 2022-03-21 A and B for the respective easements pending insurance verification and a copy of vesting deed.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the easement request as modified. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 9, the final plat application for the Black Bear subdivision.
So this is another longer running project. This started with the application for the applicant wants to build a deck on the back of the residential property. So this is Mr. Matthews, who owns the Black Bear Distillery, and then his home is adjacent to the distillery up the hill on the backside of the distillery. The initial plan was for the initial plan presented to the town was showed that the deck was being planned to encroach over the property line into the Black Bear Distillery parcel, which he thought he could sort of solve because he owns both. So he was going to, draft an agreement with himself. And anyway, all that was not properly done. So we needed, basically the only solution was for him to redraw the boundary between the two parcels to allow enough room for the deck to clear all the setback requirements to the back boundary line. So long story short, this is the result of all that. It's basically a subdivision. It's a minor subdivision in that it only contains 2 lots. There's no right of way that needs to be deeded to the town or anything, any utilities that are being put in or anything complicated like that. So it is a replat of the parcels as shown here. So there's a color version of this that's a little bit easier to show. So let me go to this one first. So this is essentially how these 3 parcels exist now. These parcel B and parcel C are the Black Bear Distillery, both owned by Victor Matthews. Lot 5 here, parcel A, is the residential parcel owned by Mr. Matthews. This drawing here shows how the new boundary line, which is this line, this dashed line here, that shows how it allows for these side and rear setbacks to be met with the design of the new deck. This has all been approved by Planning Commission. They also approved the architectural and zoning review for the deck itself at the last meeting. This drawing shows the resulting subdivision, which will be recorded as Black Bear Subdivision lots 1 and 2. This actually shows as well, there's a septic field here that's actually used by this lot 4. So there's an easement agreement in here allowing that use on this property. One additional benefit of this project is that it cleans this up a little bit so that this septic field is not on 2 lots. It's just on 1 remaining lot. So still an easement agreement that exists that will continue and is specified as such on the subdivision recording document. So the minor subdivisions, they just need to go through the final plat process instead of the preliminary and final plat process. So this is the final plat and the documentation that will be recorded. The architectural, the application for the deck build itself was approved by Planning Commission contingent on basically proof of this recording so that the town knows for sure that that's been recorded with the county and all the necessary changes are being made in order to clear setbacks. So staff would, and this approval is just for the subdivision itself. So staff would make a recommendation to approve with no contingencies on this one.
Trustees, questions, comments?
Nate, why was it decided to go with a new subdivision rather than just combining lots 1 and 2?
Because they're different zones. So they're
Okay.
the business zone and residential zone.
Got it. Thank you.
Trustees, additional questions, comments? I was present at all the planning commission things, so yeah, I'm well versed with it. If there's no additional questions, comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I have the motion up here if anyone wants to read it.
I move to approve application 2022-0901 for the minor subdivision called Black Bear Subdivision.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Black Bear subdivision. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is the Sursa quote for 2023.
Thanks you have for your consideration this evening, the preliminary contribution quotation for the town of Green Mountain Falls for 2023, which has been adjusted for inflation and also the increased the increased property values of the town. The total amount for the contribution for 2023 is $23,545.66. Also, for your consideration within this topic is whether to pay it quarterly or the beginning of the year.
Trustees, questions, comments?
Quarterly?
I'm almost thinking annually, just if we
Yeah.
got the money, just because it's less likelihood to slip through a crack sometime and go oops.
It sounded like it was the staff's preference to pay it annually. Is that
Annually.
correct? Did I hear that?
Yeah, it's typically, if we have the ability to pay it up front, it takes care of it for the year.
Out of curiosity, are there any other insurance or insurers for municipalities like ours? Just out of curiosity. Just wondering what.
I went looking for
differences
that
are in
too.
our
I didn't really
No,
find
I
anything.
think there's a lot of people in the world that would sell you insurance.
Right, yeah. No doubt.
But
have we ever-
others that are, partner owned, meaning us, all the municipalities in Colorado, were able to partner and form this CIRSA, as I understand it. It allows them to bring the premiums down for municipalities much more than we would achieve through a privately funded insurance company. The other benefit, I think, to having a municipal specific insurance company is that they are familiar with governmental immunity, other legalities that local governments face that a private insurance company might not be as well versed in.
Can you explain the partnership?
I will
How does that work?
happy to get that information and send it to you all in an email or put it together in something for you for the next meeting. I don't know that I am well versed enough in it to intelligently articulate it for you this evening.
Yeah, I'd just like to learn maybe a little bit more about CIRSA. And I mean, do we vote on it right now or do we table it? Do we have to? When does this have to be?
We have a
completed?
deadline of September 28th to be able to submit our
Right.
Yeah,
acceptance of the quote.
Do you
So is-
recall getting some CIRSA training from one of the representatives early on with the new board?
Hmm.
I mean, I really think of them
Yeah, I
as
like them. Just,
as a resource,
Something.
it's not DOLA,
Hmm.
but their expertise is, I think goes, beyond just insuring, I think they help with education. And when it
Training,
comes
right.
to, having a relationship where we can get answers to questions, like let's say we want to do something at a special event, what's it going to cost, those kinds of things.
Hmm.
They seem really responsive, in terms of, coming back to us in a good length of time. And I know that because they're knowledgeable and, this is all they do. That I feel like we're in good hands when it comes to the liability issues of the town. And, I think it's a big deal.
And these contracts are only for a year.
For a year. And also included in your packet is a list of their services for 2023 that I think is a really good starting point. It'll answer some of your questions regarding the benefit of participating in a CIRSA program.
Okay. Yeah, I was just very curious as to, how much, obviously CIRSA is charging us $23,000. Well, 23,543 this year, but how much it would cost from any other insurer, or what they would offer, or, how closely they work with us. You guys are happy?
Absolutely.
Sursa?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've utilized Sursa, I'm imagining, and
They
Victor
are
as well?
responsive, they are accommodating, they tailor their services to what we've requested. That they facilitated your board orientation, as well as we have access to member resources such as training opportunities. And it's not just, for the administrative staff or the elected officials. It goes down through law enforcement and public works and all of the departments that we have in-house. So just knowing that there is that resource available, we probably don't tap into it as much as we could. But it's certainly, I think, a best practice in protecting the town from liability and protecting the town's assets.
So the contract's up every September 28th.
They
Ish.
issue a new quote each year, typically in August.
Okay.
For approval towards the end of September. They need to know whether we are withdrawing or participating in the membership for the next year.
And I don't know how far back the town goes with Sursa, probably, I don't know, at least a couple of decades. I don't know how long Sursa's been in existence, but this isn't anything new to the town. And you might be able to find cheaper insurance, but I know when I look at insurance, I'm not looking so much at what it's going to cost me, but
Customer service.
yeah, are they there when you need them? And a lot of insurers aren't.
Okay.
I mean, you can, there's records of that kind of stuff. If that's something, if you don't think if you think we could get a better deal.
Okay. Well, having just come in May, I think, and knowing that that the request for a vote this month was back in August, may gives us, if we ever were unhappy, I suppose. I mean, they seemed like really great people when they were here training us. Just playing devil's advocate here.
They have
Just
your best
wondering,
interest at heart.
Oh, well, history
My
will tell.
opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay.
It's kind of a mutual interest, right? When it comes to insurance, that we stay out of trouble is in their best interest.
Right.
And if it's kind of like, a partnership with other municipalities, it's in everybody's best interest that everybody stays out of trouble.
Right.
Trustees, additional questions, comments?
No.
If none, I would entertain a motion.
I would motion to approve Sursa services for 2023.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the Sursa services for 2023. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, our next item is the Ready Grant.
So you have in your packet a draft application to the Department of Local Affairs for a grant project intended to do a planning study revolving around the pool, its services, the facility, and what the potential utilization of that asset is and the community's desire to support it. The total cost of this grant is $55,000. We are asking for a 10% match or $5,000 from the town, which we would source from our stimulus funding line item. There is an additional $5,000 that we've requested as part of this package for contingency if needed. Any questions on there?
Looks good. It's timely.
Trustees, questions, comments?
We can have like a community brainstorming event for what we're gonna do with the money that,
Absolutely. We will do what we're gonna do with the money. What we're gonna do with cost recovery
right,
from the pool.
Yeah.
Typically, cost recovery will be utilized to offset the expenses of the pool. This grant really would be able to look at what types of services or offerings the pool could provide that people would be willing to pay for. And certainly look at expanded partnerships with, you know, whether there's other groups that would be willing to rent the facility or partner with us, Silver Sneakers or something like that. Or, you know, if there's an ability to potentially rent the pool out to an instructor who would do swim lessons in there. So that's what we're talking about as far as cost recovery. Those would be, I believe, utilized to offset the cost of the pool.
Trustees, any additional questions or comments?
So to clarify, it's not just money going towards the pool. It's an analysis of the needs and possible untapped benefits.
Absolutely. So it'd be, they essentially call it a market study. And then the other portion of it that we have included would be a facility assessment.
okay, so this isn't for any particular project. It's just for an assessment that we're losing money at the pool and like just things that we can do to bring in more.
Right, absolutely.
recoverable
And also feasibility of expanding the space to include something maybe like a public restroom.
So they would recommend that, but we know that it's probably a good idea anyway to do
We
it.
would, as a community, identify that as one of the needs, and they would help us explore the feasibility of it, the condition of the infrastructure that's already there to support it, such as the septic system. Additionally, what needs would have, you know, if we put in a year-round public restroom to the side of the building, how would we heat it so that it's not going to freeze? How would we?
So again, just playing devil's advocate here, like we've identified some issues already with the pool. We're going to utilize a grant for $55,000 with a match of $5,000 to essentially maybe have them tell us what we need to do or should do with the pool to make more money. But it seems like we're already having some pretty good ideas. You've had some pretty good ideas there.
I believe that doing this study would help to position us to be able to request funding for implementation.
Okay.
That this.
So that would be the
project
end goal, is
identifies.
to actually get, okay,
Most things start with a study.
all right. So that we could secure more funding.
Yeah.
Okay, additional to the $50,000 and the $5,000 investment.
Mhm.
Okay.
And this could be a chunk of the master plan for the parks. If we get that. But it needs to be done whether we get that grant
Yeah.
or not.
So we do this, who do we go to additional grants or funding? Like what would be the next step?
So
We
I
invest $5,000 in
I
this.
feel as though having this plan put in place, what a funder wants to see is, do they have a plan? Is it reasonable? Do
Okay.
they know what it's going to cost to implement their plan so that we're not asking for some random number?
Gotcha. So that sounds
Um,
pretty
And
rational.
in that way, I believe that it would position us to be able to submit an application to GoCo for implementation. Those are highly competitive grants,
Okay,
but this would certainly make us a little more competitive.
all right. It'll open the door for more money.
And
To save
GoCo's
the pool.
GoCo's just one opportunity. I think it helps to also illustrate the need for additional ADA accessibility for
Okay.
the ADA accessibility grant. It opens doors.
Okay, that's great.
Trustees, if there's no additional questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I will move to approve submission of the Green Mountain Falls Rural Economic Development Initiative grant application for the Green Mountain Falls Pool Park Market Facility Study.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the, I'm just going to call it the Ready Grant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is item 12, and that is our adopt a park proposal. On this one, I will abstain from voting. But yeah, this is basically something that my wife and I would like to try to get started. And, you know, as far as adopting things, we've already got the triangle adopted, and we'd like to maybe go ahead and see if we can entice others to adopt other sections of the park. And you can go through the details of what we propose. It's basically fixing the rock garden and putting in native flowers. And I know there's a couple trees that need some limbs cut off, and if I can reach them with a pole saw, I'll get them cut down. I think the only things we were really looking for from the town were basically a place to take the whatever, you know, yard waste we would have. And on occasion, we may want to borrow the weed whacker. Mine, I have a corded one, and then I have something that's got a metal blade on it. And once in a while, we may want to see if we can't borrow that if we need to do some trimming. And then and then a little sign that basically says, yeah, we've adopted this area to make sure that people don't go in and try to help us out too much.
Oh, where does it say that about the sign?
It's in go to the agreement itself. Yeah, right there. Sign indicating this area has been adopted. And it could be any type of sign. Doesn't have to be a.
You know, the PRTAC has talked significantly about signs, so they may want to approve a design or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Just-
looks like.
Just
but-
something that basically says, yeah, this area is adopted. And really what reason we want to do is we don't really want people coming in and undoing things that we've done.
I don't have a problem with anything except the sign. I just think if we start putting signs everywhere where somebody's taking care of, it could add up to a lot of signs.
Good. And it doesn't have to be. I mean, that's just something we threw into it, and
I know it's come up at the PRT, but I don't know that I don't know how official it is. I mean, there's no sign at Triangle Park.
yeah, we could scratch the sign out. It's not a big deal for us.
I mean, if it becomes an issue, maybe, you know,
What had happened was we were actually kind of starting to kind of pull some weeds in the area.
uh-huh.
And I think our public works folks came in and helped us out. And instead of, because you need to pull them up. You don't want to cut them down because they just keep growing. So you want to yank them out, and they weed whacked. And now we got to wait for them to kind of grow back so we can yank them out again.
Yeah, but that was before we did this.
Yep.
And I know that. I know what you're talking about happens.
Yeah. And so that it was just a thought to, okay, might kind of help mitigate people assisting where we really probably don't want the assistance.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, the same thing happens at Triangle Park. I mean, it hasn't happened since it was adopted, but people, you know, citizens would just, you know, kind of throw in their 2 cents.
Yeah.
We're talking about is actually a PRT rule, to recognize any area where it's been adopted. So actually Triangle Park, we are going to put some different there saying this is maintained by, this is maintained. So it is a PRT rule.
Yeah, I hope it comes before the board. You know, because I know sign pollution is also a goal of the PRT, you know, to avoid that. And it's, you know, that's my 2 cents.
So yeah, any other questions for Nancy or I?
If it pleases the board, we could certainly institute some internal controls to ensure that that space is not meddled with next year.
So your problem with adopted, having a sign that just says adopted on it, you would be against just sign saying being adopted by friends of, like, how,
I don't think we need a sign.
you don't think we need a sign?
No.
Okay.
No, and there are a lot of, we could end up with a lot of signs. That's all I'm saying.
I suppose it may motivate others in the community to maybe contribute their time to, something, say like, PRT or any of those,
That could be, I know there's a lot of people that want to remain anonymous who do a lot of things for the town.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily want a sign that says, I did this.
or no, just so that it says it's adopted, not by any party,
Uh-huh.
but,
Well, the
okay.
PRT did discuss naming people. as
Oh,
well.
naming people. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess,
Can we see if it's an issue? I mean, I know you said that they did like weed whack it, but that was before.
Yeah.
This.
Before this.
Yeah.
well,
And yeah, and Sunday, since I'm abstaining, you're mayor pro tem, you'll have to call for actions.
so,
It's listed as for information only. I didn't know we were voting on it.
so I suppose we would just table the adopted, signs at this point, but it's nice to have, people contributing and, making the town look pretty, I suppose, but just minus the sign for right now. Is that? what you would-
Is the signage a recommendation from PRT? Or is it just,
We put this up in front of PRT. This is something that we just drafted on our own.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, kind of like the idea of the adopted thing personally, where it's kind of nice. And again, it's like a motivational thing for, residents to participate, I guess, but not with any particular names. I mean, it doesn't have to be, dedication is something different, I suppose, but I guess we could just move on from the adopted sign thing entirely and just motion to, approve the agreement with Todd and Nancy Dixon to maintain a park area as shown in figure 1 for 1 year from the signing of this agreement. Would anybody second that?
yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
All right. Anyone opposed? All in favor, say aye.
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 Todd Dixon abstain. Okay, our next item, item 13, Parks, Recreation, and Trails Advisory Committee Advice Memo for a Park Maintenance Plan for 2023. Is this another one that we should have probably listed as an action?
I think this was really just for your consideration when we go into the budgeting process. So it is they have made some recommendations. We'll make sure that we've got a copy of it in our budget info, and as we go through priorities and projects needs for next year, it can be for your consideration. Probably unfair to consider one without everybody's requests coming in.
It might be interesting to have here's what it cost this year versus the proposal.
We'll be evaluating all of that.
Trustees, questions, comments? And this is purely just for information, right? there's no additional questions and comments, since there's no action, we'll go ahead and move on to reports, trustee reports. And I think I started that direction this time. So Catherine, we'll start with you this time.
I have nothing to report. Thanks.
And nothing for me.
Nothing to report.
I suppose the only thing that I need to report is being the liaison for the Fire Mitigation Committee. If we could pass the word around, they're going to need at least 5 more bodies to help Chief Murphy. I know the chair himself is going to be assisting that day, along with a couple other members on the committee. But not that we need bodies for the wood chipper itself, but we need bodies for the wood chipper.
You talk about the 25th?
For the 24th and 25th, Saturday and Sunday.
For both days, 5 bodies, both
Roger
days.
that. Yeah. At least 5, just, so people aren't working like dogs all day. Break it up a little bit. I think we're looking at 3-man crews, foreman and 2 individuals on the chipper, tossing stuff in.
The district fire department is utilizing 4 volunteers. I'm not sure if that includes county.
Okay.
Or the district fire department volunteers.
Okay.
And because we have 45 homeowners who have signed up, that's way more than what we anticipated would happen.
It was just 32 last week, I think, right? Yeah.
Chief Murphy said, look, I'm going to need some help. So, what we're thinking is if we can get volunteers to do just a half day, like Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. 2 people to add to this cruise would be 8 total volunteers from the public at large. We have 3. So we need 5 more. The 3 that signed up were Paul England, who's on the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee. I signed up, and Jay Kidda, who is chairing or leading the pre volunteer effort. So, you've got basically the committee people are all agreeing to volunteer. We really can use some volunteers from the county at large, especially since we have 45 homeowners that are benefiting. So, Mayor made a comment not long ago, this town is full of volunteers. I'm looking forward to that.
We need them. Communications, if you can, we're a big Facebook town. Do we need, I know we had something on the town Facebook page that I republished. Do we need to revamp that with this information on the half days?
Yeah. A lot of people might give a half day. If they're thinking of the volunteers the whole weekend or an all day, that might be a different story.
Yeah.
Because people do have plans.
Okay.
So yeah, if we can revamp the information and at least get it out there on Facebook.
Yeah, I think the more specific for volunteers, the better, like the hours even. So they know exactly what they're signing up for.
So half-day volunteers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I assume it's starting at 9 both days or,
Chief Murphy.
Okay. Okay.
Chief Murphy is running the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee is simply assisting
Mhm.
volunteers. We're not controlling it, managing it or anything. This is a fire district and balancing out all, and it includes Peter Park and Cascade. We've got signups from,
oh, great.
Oh, that's right, Chipeta Bar. Where will everybody be rallying to meet?
Murphy is in charge of publishing all of the information that will.
Okay.
But he needs to get the volunteers to communicate. He's, I'm still waiting. By that, we need to bring it out.
Okay. I suppose we can utilize some social media there and, a rallying point to be determined where everybody's going to meet up. Okay.
Any other items?
I rest, Your Honor. We're
Okay.
good.
Just real quickly, these alphabet groups that I attend, the PPACG, the PPRTA, and the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department. Once in a while, we get nuggets from there. I was approached by El Paso County Commissioner Vanderwerf. He kind of strongly suggested that we put a representative on what's called the Pikes Peak Outdoor Recreational Alliance. We have someone identified from the Parks, Rec, and Trails Committee for that. And what they're trying to do is get more access going up Pikes Peak. And some of the access areas could be through Green Mountain Falls. And so we definitely want to have someone there kind of representing Green Mountain Falls, so we don't have something potentially happen that we may not really want. They also talked about having regional public works periodic telecoms between the various counties and cities, which was a good idea. They are resurfacing Highway 24 coming up from Cascade. I believe they've received bids. And so we may be seeing some work on Highway 24. I think we'll get the project updates from staff, along with the fact that our roller did break down. Obviously, we got the chipper 24th and 25th and the Pine Needle dumpster on September 30th, and Creek Week on Sunday morning, 25th. So we got a lot going on. So with that, we're just about ready to go to committee reports. So with that, we can go into committee reports. And yeah, if you're giving one for planning commission, you probably ought to hit the microphone up there and get the blue light on. And
Planning Commission is still working on land use code. We are expecting to have a draft coming up on the 11th of October. And we are hoping to have as many BOT members attend as possible. And we would like the public to participate and give their opinions. We've got to have that as part of our process. And the goal is to have BOT pass this, adopt this before December 31st. So this process is moving quickly, and we'd love for all of BOT or any citizens to be a part of this process. We meet next Tuesday, and then we have our regular meeting. That'll be, I believe, on the 11th, when the attorney will be here to present the draft. So I want to encourage everybody that it has an interest.
I would say from being at the meetings, I really like what I've seen so far. So thank you. And with that, we'll move on to staff reports.
David,
Unless
did you
there's
want
any
to do
committee report?
Talked about thing I wanted to say, which was the number of people signed up.
Okay. And then there was a PRT AC report here. If it was included in your packet, I don't know anything about it, but if you need to review it, or I guess Nancy may know something about it if you had questions, but.
Trustees, any questions?
No, but I did have something to recommend, maybe perhaps for the next meeting. Was that okay? Real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick.
We did a workshop tonight. I thought it was awesome. I think we did a pretty good job there. I think if we had met around like 5 o'clock, I mean, I was kind of expecting more or less to be quizzed tonight on the STR situation and the drafts. I thought we were going to go over that. I talked to one trustee who wouldn't mind being here a little earlier at 5 if we're going to cover some other things, for an hour. maybe we start kind of knocking out this STR stuff and just having discussions with each other about you know, the draft, and getting this thing done.
So yeah, I know I'm open for earlier, longer, whatever we need to do to try
Okay.
and knock it out. I really want to make sure that we're, you know, putting our due diligence basically into this and
Yeah.
trying
ditto,
to come
yeah.
up with the overall best solution that we can at this time.
Would anybody else oppose like to maybe getting together a little bit earlier? If we're going to discuss other things that's on the agenda that evening for our next meeting, maybe we spend an hour or so kind of going over what draft was emailed to us with some corrections and some, I mean, really there were like 3 cross out sections, I think, from the lawyer, but some pretty sharp recommendations, I think, from staff and from us in previous discussions. I think maybe we should start that dialogue like next meeting, coming a little bit earlier than 6 o'clock.
So we're talking about the 4th.
Yeah, it would be next regular meeting, not the special for the.
Right. Yeah. So the 4th, October 4th, like 5 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock, we can discuss other things. So I think tonight was very productive. I do think tonight was productive, but yeah. Again, I think tonight was productive with that, meeting at 6 o'clock, but I do wish, and I kind of expect, I thought we were going to actually be talking about STR stuff. I know we had at least one other member in the audience of the community that was probably expecting the same. So.
Okay, any other committee reports? Now we'll move to staff reports.
You want to go first?
Take it away, Nate.
I'll just summarize my report here. Fire mitigation wise, Mile High Youth Corps is in their 5-week fall session right now. Next week, I'll be meeting with a couple of the representatives from the state who had a role in approving the grant. They're going to meet on site, and along with myself and Olympia, maybe CJ from Mile High Youth Corps, just to walk the area and kind of explain the project. Excuse me. CUSP has started work as well. They are working west and east of their previous work area, which is on the west end of Thomas Trail. They're doing work around that water facility, the storage tank up there. And then when they finish that area, their plan was to kind of jump the area they worked previously and get east of that to ideally meet up with the work that Mile High Youth Corps has done this summer. And that has all focused on mostly terrain below the trail. So hopefully we'll see by the end of the fall work season, hopefully it's connected. I haven't received an update lately from CUSP, but I know they found a smaller crew. All the expenses and everything have increased for their work since all this grant involvement with them initiated in 2020. So they had a hard time finding crews to work at all, and then crews to work at a reasonable cost. So they've got a pretty small crew up there doing that work. Audit, we've got our auditors are actually coming tomorrow, so we have done a lot of work in the last week just figuring out the details and all the fixing a lot of things that were kind of done in with the skeleton staff that was here last year. So Brian's been here a little more than usual lately, just trying to finish the audit and catch up on all the necessary documentation. And then we are having a part-time staff person start next week, and that will help us start catching up on this year's entries of all the auto transactions. So all the tax deposits that get automatically deposited into our accounts. I'm finally starting to sort of understand what all those different transactions are. So we'll basically have her work on entering those transactions in our accounting software. Our accounting software works in a way that you cannot reconcile a month if the previous month has not been reconciled. So once the audit is essentially done, then we'll definitely have 2021 reconciled, and then we can start doing the best practices for reconciling each month thereafter, and then get you all caught up on our financial reporting. The short-term rentals, recently approved ones, 10-860 Belvedere, which was one that had been being rented for quite a while, I think, without a license. So it was good to get that into the fold. I think it's actually for sale now. So, and the license doesn't transfer, so it may not be part of this count for very much longer. And then 11414 Belvedere, which is, or I'm sorry, that was the wrong address. This is supposed to be, what's that street? Way at the top of Catamount. If you take Catamount all the way up and take a left, Myrtle, or no, or all the way up to the left. Yeah, sorry. So that was an error on my part. And then 3, actually a 4th kind of pending. So right now, not counting pending, there are 51 of 60. And obviously with 4 pending, we're getting close to that 60 limit here pretty soon. I did receive a short training, and I can, there's support for this software, but he took me through the Lodging Revs app, which we already had. I just wasn't really aware of it because it's a separate interface than the MuniRevs that I typically am using to manage the licenses. But that does have an ability to, it scrapes all the short-term rental sites that are out there. I don't know how many there are, but dozens of different sites that list short-term rentals. And we did go through briefly and looked at some of the ones that popped up as a concern. It supposedly it scans at least weekly, so I'll kind of just have to incorporate that into my routine to especially once new rules are established. And it's kind of pointless to identify a short-term rental now that's operating without a license until we have some actual teeth and penalties for that. But I can see basically shows a map and identifies the rentals that are out there. And if it can't obviously match it up to a license that we currently have, then it flags it for review. So should be a good tool to try to identify unlicensed rentals moving forward. I think Lamar just gave a good land use code update. This is a kind of a summary of the meetings, and today we had some back and forth. Becky came up in the end with a public notice draft that we'll publish in the newspaper for those December meetings. Any land use code, any ordinance change requires specific public notice. On all the other ones, I can basically just post on Facebook or and the town website, just saying that we want public input and kind of explain what's coming up in the planning commission meetings, if that makes sense. So I think that's about it for my report. Any questions?
Okay, next up.
All right.
Oops.
I'm sorry, I forgot to, I don't know how I missed Becky's report, getting it on the agenda, but I will add it to the minutes.
Thanks, Nate. Just a couple of updates. A lot of this was just a rolling project roster, with the exception of a little bit adjusted time frame on both the Stilling Basins and the Gazebo Lake project, which need to work in concert, hopefully the best they can, to tie in and do the lake lowering at the same time. We will begin resuming that construction in those areas. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but waiting on a part for a gas line, which will need to be relocated. Also new is a couple of sections of road that we went up and looked at on Belvedere. There was a portion where it was undercut. We were perceiving that it might be crossing into private property, met with the private property owner and determined that that really wasn't that it wasn't encroaching on his area. So the guys have been able to go up and repair that and clean out the water outlet that was up above it, ensuring that it's hopefully not going to get that bad that quick again. Want to thank the property owner there for his willingness to meet with us and brainstorm ideas on how to fix it. Nate, if you'll scroll down, just a couple of new things in the works, all the way to the end, please. All right, we have been working on creating a town listserv that folks can subscribe to get updates on town projects. That should be launched here in the next couple of weeks. I would like to utilize you all to garner some feedback and make sure that it's working well before we launch it with the community. So I'll let you know when that is forthcoming. Should be pretty quick. And then also have a pretty solid draft for the Vista assignment description that would help to cultivate some talent for our planner position. I should have a draft available for approval for the October 4th meeting that would then be submitted to Downtown Colorado Inc. They're the hosting agency for the Vistas for the particular program that we're looking at, and allow us a little bit of time for them to recruit and likely begin that position in the beginning of 2023. So this is something that would not impact our current budget year. Outside of that, it's been supporting staff with the audit. Want to really put a shout out there for Nate. He's been working his tail off on following a trail of breadcrumbs and making sure that we have all the documentation that we need. And also a lot of thanks is owed to Brian.
Okay, trustees, any questions or comments on the staff reports? Okay, that concludes item 14 for reports. I see we don't have any correspondence on item 15, correct?
Correct.
And with that, y'all ready to go? Okay, we'll adjourn at 8:29.